Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome back to another episode of Voice of Youth. Today we are kicking into the creative side of things because we are talking about the creative field and how you can get into it. And you're going to hear the word creative dropped a lot during this episode itself, so I am sorry for that. But we have two guests coming in, Updesh and Meher, and they will be sharing their experiences of getting into the creative field and some of the things surrounding that whole concept as a whole. So let's introduce them here right now. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So how are you two doing? It's a nice early morning get up for us. It's 9 a.m. Like I usually get up before 9 a.m. anyway, but still recording this, getting prepped and stuff. Is it early for you guys?
Usually I have class at 9, but I don't actually get ready because it's just online. So yeah, it was a bit of a struggle, I guess.
Yeah,
How about you, man?
It's actually pretty late for me because I usually work, but I have Wednesdays off. So yeah, it's actually sleeping for me.
Well, sorry for having to take up your morning today, but we are talking about you two and some more general aspects of working in the creative field because you are a designer, Meher, and Updesh, you're a photographer. So we wanted to talk about how you got into this field, and then we can also talk a little bit more about how some advice you may give to people or youth that want to work in these creative fields and just some of the things surrounding that idea. So do either of you want to talk about how you got into this field? Updesh, do you want to go first?
So how I got into photography, it took me a while to get here. After year 12, I studied a few different subjects and a few different courses, going back and forth, trying to figure out what it is I want to do, because that's a lot of pressure. I find it's a lot of pressure to kind of figure out what it is you want to do for the rest of your life straight after year 12. But eventually I got there. I've always had a passion for photography, but I always thought it would be more of a side business. And I decided last year that I would start studying it. So I've been studying photography and working as a freelancer as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. How about you, Meher?
Yeah, well, it's kind of different for me. I actually knew what I wanted to be when I grew up from a young age. So I've always been into sort of kind of the visual art side of things, not so much creative. But when I was introduced to the creative field, I knew that's what I wanted to do. So yeah, then I started after high school, I studied a bachelor degree in visual communication. And then I went on to be a graphic designer, which is what I do now.
Oh, wow. Okay. And currently, so Updesh, you're a freelance photographer. So Meher, do you work for an agency or any sort of your own business or something?
Yes, so I work for a digital marketing agency. I do freelance on the side, and I've actually only been in this agency for 2 weeks now. So it's been a bit of a shift for me. But I was working in-house as a graphic designer, so it was for a business. And yeah, I was working there for about a year and a half before I got this job. But yeah, so I kind of reached the point where I was like, I want to work for an agency and get more like client work, external design work. But yeah.
Yeah. So we have some of the work that you've done as well. I'll get that up on screen, and maybe you can just run through us, what the work was, some of the process behind it, and how you actually got to the end product. So let's get that up. So can you run through these with us?
Yes, so these are two brand identity projects I did for two very different companies. One's a suits company, which I did about a year ago, and the other one is for a solar agency, Clear Energy Solutions. But yeah, so yeah, this is where this is kind of what I specialize in terms of graphic design, brand identity. So you've got the logo and you've got kind of the other aspects to it as well, the other collateral, the business card and that kind of thing.
Yeah. And we've got a couple more examples here as well.
Yeah.
What are these two?
So the one on the left, as well as brand identity, I do quite enjoy doing wedding invitations. And that kind of arose when I did my own wedding invitation. So I posted that on Instagram. And then I got a lot of inquiries after that. And a lot of my clients do reach out to me on Instagram. But yeah, so this is kind of just what I enjoy doing as well. So I've got that there as well. And it's all over my Instagram as well.
You feel like you really want to plug in your Instagram here.
What?
No, so that's the thing with social media itself. I'll get away from that for a second. Social media itself, it's a huge influence, and like it has such a huge influence, I should say, on like the outer world, how people perceive you and stuff. For the two of you, how crucial is social media for working, as a visual artist or as a photographer?
Okay. So social media is like a main platform for me to connect with other people who want to utilize my services, or for me to get in contact with people who can help me on jobs, for example, makeup artists, stylists, all those kinds of things.
Yeah. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, for me personally, it's crazy. I actually get most of my clients through Instagram. And that's the same with a lot of graphic designers as well. They sort of put their work out there and then they get inquiries through Instagram. So they've got like their, I guess, ideal client following them, and and they get a lot of inquiries from that. So I do like to put the work out there that I enjoy doing. So if I design something that I didn't quite enjoy, or I didn't have a good relationship with the client, I don't normally put it out there.
Yeah.
So then, yeah.
So then with Instagram and stuff, what's some advice you'd like to give to other youth out there that, maybe they're having their own business, they're creating their own business, or maybe they're putting up their own fashion photos or videos or anything of the sort on Instagram? What's some advice or any tips you might give to kind of help boost them so that way they can get people reaching out to them, seeing them in a more professional view?
Some advice, I'd say, with photography, it's good to know your audience. So first of all, figure out what style you like, and what style you kind of want to move forward with. So if that's fashion, landscape, portrait, event photography, whatever it is, figure out what it is that you want to do. And from there, build your social media platform around that and kind of tailor the posts to that specific audience.
Yeah. How about you, Mary? Do you have any tips?
Yeah. Well, with social media in general, I think it's important to stick, like in my personal opinion, it's important to stick to one platform. So I like to stick to Instagram as well. And yeah, like I was saying before, put your best work out there. The really important thing about social media marketing in general, in my personal opinion, to use just that one platform where you can put all your work. So I focus on Instagram. That's where I put all my work out there. And like I was saying before, put your best work out there. And also it kind of allows your clients to gauge the type of style you like to work with. So like I said, I only put the work out there that I enjoy doing and I want to continue working with, and the type of clients I want to work with as well.
Yeah, so yeah, because the important thing is connecting and everything. So why can I always thought that, trying to use, Instagram, Facebook, I don't know, whatever, Twitter, all these other social media accounts you have, why do you think it's just good to focus on one? Because that interests me at least.
Yeah. I need to think about it. Sorry.
Think about it. That's all right.
What I'm like trying to say is that you can put all your energy into one, because if you advertise on every single platform, you're not going to be able to focus on one entirely. You're not going to be able to put your energy across all of them either.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, yeah. So in that aspect, you put 110% effort into one thing, and then once you get that established, maybe you can branch out to something else and try to, put your roots in so many different kinds of soil. I don't know. That's a really bad. I don't know what that's. That's just the first thing that popped into my head. But that's great. Some great advice there from the two of you. We've looked at some of your work, Mer. How about we take a quick look at some of your photos, Updesh, and you could just give us a quick rundown about how you would have taken these, or why you took these photos. So let's pop them on. Two photos here.
Yeah, the one on the left, that was taken at the start of isolation back in like March or April. And what I wanted to do was kind of because we did at the time we didn't know how long this was going to last. Fast forward to September and we're still here. But what I wanted to do at the time was make sure I didn't like lose get into a creative slump, I guess. And so I tried to get myself to take a few photos a week and kind of document what it was like, you know, life in isolation, that kind of stuff. So that's a part of a bigger series that I'm working on. And the one on the right, that was part of my final folio for last semester. So basically we got to choose the subject that we wanted to photograph, whether that was portraits or anything else. And I am really interested in fashion photography at the moment, specifically with like South Asian clothing. And so I got a few of my friends, shout out to Helene and Gurneet, to help me out. And they dressed up, you know, in these really, really beautiful suits. And we took some photos kind of, yeah, just to kind of showcase how do I explain? Just to showcase like how beautiful like South Asian clothing is, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really good. There's one thing in particular that I'd like to just bring up from what you said, and you also mentioned this. You both mentioned this before. The fact that you both studied or are currently studying, you know, in the creative field that you want to work in, and I'm sure there are people out there which think because it's, you know, it's a creative field, you don't need to actually go out and actually do you know, some sort of formal education for this, especially with YouTube and online access being so easily available for people to just go and Google stuff. Do the two of you think it's important that people still, or, you know, it has its benefits to go out to a university or to any sort of formal education to kind of gain a different aspect or piece of knowledge? Obviously, you're currently studying, and since you just talked about some of the photos for your portfolio, do you want to go first?
Yeah. So for me personally, I definitely wouldn't have gotten to the stage that I am without this course. The amount of things that I've learned and just being around other students who are also really interested in photography, obviously, and, you know, having the teachers to support you who work in the industry to kind of help you along the way, give you support, advice, and like the things that I've learned from this course, I wouldn't have been able to get out of just watching YouTube videos. But I know it works differently for different people. So some people might feel that they don't really need a formal education, and if that works for them, that's fine. Yeah.
See, before I go to you, Mir, I'll just quickly mention, because I myself, I am studying videography, and I think that you know, there are certain things you do get out from a formal education. The amount of as a person who like makes just films on my own and everything, the amount of things that I've probably done which could be considered, you know, which you would need legal paperwork or anything of the sort for, which you just don't think of when you're just making films, you know, just just doing it on your own with a few friends, you're just recording things. And then there's a lot more of the paperwork side of things, which I think, you know, you can't really learn from YouTube and all this kind of stuff. And maybe that ties in more with working with an agency, the whole business side of things. So, Mir, do you have anything you'd like to bring up there?
Yeah. Yeah, well, in terms of that, I totally agree with both of you in terms of gaining that experience from uni. Like me personally as well, like I left high school and went straight to uni, and I wouldn't have been able to go straight into the creative field without that degree and that experience as well. And it kind of like, you're still young, you're still developing, you're still learning where you want to specialize in that degree as well. But in saying that, it is different for a lot of people as well. Like you might come, like I've seen a lot of people on Instagram as well. They've hit a stage in their life. They're probably like early 30s or something. They were doing something else. And then they decided to pursue the creative career because that's where their passion lies. And they didn't go through like an entire uni degree to get there. There's like small courses and stuff out there as well that you can do if you are in that situation. But yeah, like I agree, it totally depends where you are at what stage in your life.
Yeah, each person can benefit in their own way based on, like, you know, it depends on the person. Like you can personally, like, so a lot of people are visual learners. They might not be able to just sit down with a book and listen to someone talk for. I know I've had classes for 3 hours. I find them pretty fun. Some people might not, and they can be a little tiring sometimes. Like I remember just like now thinking about it. If I was at uni, I'd be there 8:30 in the morning, and I'd be really tired. And here I am just at home recording this at like 9 something. So yeah, there's some downsides to that as well. But one thing I actually want to bring up, which was mentioned by you, Updesh, towards the beginning of this episode, was that how you could kind of do this creative kind of work on the side, and how it's not always going to be your primary source of income. Like sometimes it may just be a hobby that you want to pursue, and that's fine if you want to pursue it. Go study the stuff, the short courses, or maybe watch online videos or anything of the sort. If it's a hobby, you can still pursue it at the same time, have a more primary source of income. Because, getting into this field itself is a really hard thing to do, because there's so much competition out there, especially with, technology being the way it is today. You've probably heard a lot of people say this, that, anyone can pick up a camera, get the new iPhone or something and take really good quality photos, or anyone can get a tablet, download some app and, design something, in using their own imagination or anything of the sort. I just wanted to see how you two would, what you two would say to, maybe working, doing this as a hobby or doing this as a part-time job, being aware that, like, so youth are aware that, you try to get into this field, it's not going to be, sunshine and rainbows. There's a lot of hard work to it, and sometimes it might not pan out. Updesh, what are your thoughts there?
People, especially within our culture, you assume that, it's like you have to do like the typical lawyer, doctor, whatever, and that's fine if you want to do that. But then some people feel as though, like for myself, I studied design at the start, and then I went into psychology because I thought I couldn't make it, and then I decided to do like photography, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
To kind of like help people, like instead of saying, oh, it might not always work out, like flip it the other way around and be like, oh, if you've got a passion for it, you should pursue what you want to do.
Yeah.
Look, don't take what I said as like saying people shouldn't pursue their passion.
No. I just saw the money aspect to it, because I think that the main reason that people don't pursue a creative degree is because of the money.
Yeah.
Regardless if they have a passion or not.
Yeah.
Because everyone had, like, if you're working in this field, if you're doing it as a hobby, yeah, you clearly have a passion. That's the main thing you need when you try to do this work, a passion for it. And that's the main thing you need when you do anything of the sort. If you don't enjoy it, you shouldn't really be doing it. And look, there is a sort of stigma around creative work as a whole. You just spoken to a bit about that, Updesh. Meher, do you have any sort of comments or anything you'd like to just say to that?
Regarding what, sorry?
The negative views that there could be around working in a creative field, how it could be seen as a lesser job in a sense.
Yeah, well, I think the main assumption surrounding people who don't want to work in the creative field is the money aspect to it. And I think also to a certain extent, it's also the pressure from parents as well. Parents are not only not exposed to it, but they don't think that you can make as much money as you do in other fields, like the health industry, doctors, lawyers, and that kind of thing. So I think for us, it's really important to show that it's not true.
Yeah, you can. If you've got the passion for it, you can, and you work hard, like anything. Like if you want to become a doctor, you have to spend years and years getting those like qualifications and stuff. In the same sense, you have to work hard, whether or not, that's with a degree or not. Like if you want to be in the creative field, you have to work hard for it as well. But like in the end, if that's what you want to do, like, how do I explain? Like I would rather someone do something that, you're passionate about and enjoy doing that career for the rest of your life, rather than feel as though, being in the creative field isn't stable, or I won't earn enough money, which is not true. Like if you build yourself up, you will get to a stage where you can earn a stable enough income where, like, if graphic design or photography or whatever it is, that can be your main source of income, and you don't actually need to have a second job or anything to kind of make it work, I guess.
Yeah. Once you build yourself up, once you can work your way to being at that level. And I think that's a really good way to wrap up this episode itself. So we've talked about working in the creative field. We've got some experience here from a visual designer and a freelance photographer itself as well. We've talked about some of the processes of getting to the standard of work that they've been doing and just working in the field as a whole itself. So I think that's a good way to end it. Is there anything that you two would like to end on, or would we like to just wrap this thing up?
I guess I just wanted to add, just to emphasize the idea that, especially for the youth out there who do want to pursue this, pursue a career in the creative field, that if you do have a passion for this, focus on that. If you do what you love, and the money will follow if you have a passion for this.
So thank you two for joining me in this episode of Voice of Youth. Thank you to everyone who's been watching this episode. Please like the video, leave a comment on whether you're working in a creative field. If you want to work in a creative field, what's your current goal? Because it's always good to set these little milestones for you to get to, the stepping stones, I should say, for you to make your way to that finish line. Another weird analogy or metaphor or some shit by me there. Should not have said that word. But anyway, thank you too for joining me. Thank you to everyone out there. This has been another episode of Voice of Youth. Quickly, before I actually laugh at there, where can the viewers find some of the work that you two have been doing? So your Instagram tags?
So my Instagram is mer.design, so MEHER.design. And yeah, you can feel free to message me or email me if you need anything, or just to say hi.
And you, Updesh?
My Instagram is just Updesh Kaur, so UPDESHKAUR, and same as Mid. If anyone's interested in getting into the creative field and they don't really know how to go about it, or if anyone has any questions or anything, feel free to message.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you to you two, and to all the audiences, and to the two guests today. I'd like to just say, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji